Peace everyone, Unmask here. Welcome back to another polishing stage live stream. The project you're looking at right now is a project we have been working on for the past few weeks in the art club. If you're unfamiliar with the art club, it is my website, my online teaching platform. I live stream every Monday through Thursday at this same time and teach pastels on Monday and Tuesdays and colored pencils on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And we do new projects all the time, and this just happens to be one of those projects. And I have just the polishing stage left for this, and the polishing stage is pretty much just kind of fine-tuning some of the small details and making the last minute changes or corrections, modifications, however you want to describe it, to get it looking the way that I want it. And as usual, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I love questions and I never get enough of them. And I'm just going to get right into this. Hello, Teresa, Susan, Claire, Diane. Good to see you again. Been a while. Yes, indeed. Welcome back. I'm going to focus probably mainly on the dress here in the beginning because it's just not looking as good as I want it to. So I'm just going to start with a sort of a fresh layer of white. I want to keep it nice and light. I want the dress to sort of feel almost ghost-like. I want it to be really, really soft with just a hint of color coming through. I'll mainly use some white to smooth it out. Incorporate a little bit of the light teal and some gray for the highlights. And that's pretty much it. Hey there, Cherry. Good to see you. The other thing that I'm probably going to work on today, I might do a little bit with the hat. Not totally satisfied with the hat. Some of these transitions, I just want to soften those up a little bit as well. And then I'll probably make some additional changes to the face. I think I can smooth out some of the features on the face just a tad. Hello, Juan. Good to see you. For this project, by the way, just for anybody interested, it is on Clairefontaine Pastel Matte, and it is done 100% using just the Stabilo Carbothello pastel pencils. So only pastel pencils for this project. We're having quite the thunderstorm here right now in Poland, which is quite surprising. It's 1400 in the afternoon, and it looks like it's in the middle of the night. It's so dark out right now. I don't think I've ever seen the weather quite like this in all of the years that I've lived here in Poland. It feels like nighttime right now, and it's like the middle of the afternoon. It's absolutely crazy. 4,300 miles in 9 days. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty impressive. When I know that I know the drive across the United States is a long one. My wife and I did that drive. We went from Seattle to Cleveland, Ohio, even a little further than that, more Akron, Ohio, in 3 days. Can't remember how far of a drive that was, lengthwise. I don't know how many miles that is, but yeah, it's quite the trek. Around 12, 13 hours of driving every day, except for one. There was two like 12, 13-hour days and then one 10-hour day. It was fun though. I recommend that to everybody. If you live in the United States, just pick a road and just go. If you're in the south, go north. If you're in the east, go west. If you're in the west, go east. Just go the opposite direction and just drive. Get out there and have an adventure. There's really nothing like it. Just getting you never really you never really realize how big the United States is until you drive across it and you're like, okay, there's a lot more space than what I feel like in my hometown. That's usually the first feeling you'll get. Oh, hey there, Trevor. Thank you very much. Do I mix the brands of pencils? You can. You can. I have like the Faber-Castell pastel pencils. I have the Caran d'Ache. I have the Derwent. I have all of those pencils, but I don't use any of them except for the Carbothello. They all mix well. They all mix well with one another. So it's totally possible to do that. You don't have to only use one set of the pencils. But one of the things that I like to do for my tutorials is that I don't want to spread out the amount of supplies that you need to follow along. So for my pastel projects, I only use the Carbothello pastel pencils because I don't want you to have to buy all the sets of pastel pencils in order to follow along. And so that's why I only use these Carbothello pastel pencils. This brand is really inexpensive. It's the most inexpensive brand and really great quality. If there was some quality issue with this particular brand, then I would probably use the Faber-Castell because they also are relatively inexpensive. But these ones work. These ones work fantastic. The color range is really nice. There's a lot of nice vibrant colors. Not as many sort of neutral earth tone colors as I'd like, but you can do a bit of mixing with gray to get those more earthy toned colors. And these ones are great. I've used these for several years and they don't let me down at all. Get really good results. Oh, hey there, Cece. I'm going to just use a bit of the gray here to create a little bit of value differences. A few of these bring out some of the wrinkles in the dress a bit more, accentuate the cloth folds. Hope everyone has been having a good week so far. Weekend is upon us now, so had a pretty good week. Nothing too exciting, but the weather here has been, aside from today, the weather has been just fantastic. I've been really enjoying this summer with my new bike and going on bike rides with my wife. It has been so fun. Oh yeah, Diane, you have quite a bit to catch up on. We've been missing you in the live streams, that's for sure. Glad you had safe travels though. Hopefully you got to see some nice landscapes along the way. Oh yeah, absolutely, Trevor. Yeah, if you ever have any questions, happy to answer your questions. And I'd say the 60 set of the Carbatellos definitely top of the list for my recommendations for getting into pastel pencils. Just get the full set. You get them for about $1 per pencil, so it's real accessible. And then for the paper, I only recommend Pastel Mat. And I get a lot of questions about pastel paper and whether or not there's an alternative paper that I would recommend. Now, for soft pastels, it's a bit different. For soft pastels, you can get away with a number of papers and get good results. But with pastel pencils, it's a little bit different. And with all of the papers that I've tested with pastel pencils, there quickly becomes this limitation in the layering process that drastically hinders the performance of the pencils. And Pastel Mat is the only paper I will ever recommend until another paper comes out that outperforms it or performs equally as good. But to date, Pastel Mat is the only paper I can recommend for pastel pencils. No other paper does the pastel pencils justice. So just keep that in mind. Oh, hi there, Shauna. How long have I been doing portrait studies? I have been practicing portraits since I was 15. No, 14. I'm trying to think how old I was when I was in the ninth grade. I think I was, yeah, I had to have been 14. Yeah, so since I was 14, I've been studying portraits. So about 16 years. About 16 years I've been doing portraits, although not as my primary subject matter. But since that time, I have been trying to get better at portraits. I'm still trying to get better at portraits. I find them to be the most challenging of subject matter alongside uh, figure drawing or figure subject matter, figures. Just any any part of the human body I find to be an exceptional challenge, especially when color is involved. Uh, so I haven't done like a graphite portrait in some time, but when color's involved, things just get more and more difficult. Thank you for that question, by the way, Shauna. Did you have any other specifics regarding portraits? Oh, hey there, Chandri. Good to see you. How are you doing? How's the weather over there in the Netherlands? You getting a little bit better summers? Has the rain stopped yet? I think the rain has finally reached Poland, because it's raining for us today. After it's been a little while since it rained. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to remember when the last time it rained was. There was a couple days, a few weekends ago, that said it was supposed to rain, and then it ended up not raining, which is always nice. But today they were for sure gonna. They were sure it was going to rain today, so my wife and I actually got caught in the rain a little bit. We left earlier this morning because my wife wanted to go see if she could find a new dress and maybe a new pair of shoes. And when we were walking back, we got caught in a really really heavy downpour. It just kind of came out of nowhere and then stopped. It was like maybe 5 minutes. It was real heavy, thick, giant raindrops that you get hit by like two of them and you're just dripping wet. And we just waited it out at a bus stop, and then it stopped and we continued walking home. And then it started raining again. Bit of thunder too, which is quite rare. Not getting much summer. Oh yeah, that doesn't sound too good. I mean, 20 to 23, that sounds lovely, but not with rain. That doesn't sound good at all. Just wondering if you have to fix the final artwork. Um, some people do. Some people do use a fixative on their pastel work. I am not one of those people. In fact, I am one of those people that finds it egregious. When you work on pastel matte in particular, it is entirely unnecessary to use fixative. The paper, the pastel bonds really, really well to pastel matte. it's not permanent, and it can still be damaged. Just ask my wife. She once dropped a pillow on one of my pastel paintings. Don't ask how that happened, but yeah, and that one's ruined. Um, but the color and value changes that occur from the use of fixative on top of pastels, I find, and most people, I would say a majority of people that have tried fixatives, they find it unacceptably bad. And I myself also do. I think that as soon as the fixative touches the pastel, it looks junky. It doesn't look appealing at all. It's not something that I ever recommend to people because I think that it looks bad, and I would never recommend something that looks bad to somebody. But like I said, it's also unnecessary. So if it's unnecessary and the only you have two outcomes: either it makes it look worse or it looks okay. And so if you don't have to do it and your other two options are only bad or okay, then why ever even consider doing it? Yeah, that's what I get. I get the pastel matte pads, and I just pull out a sheet of pastel matte and use it. 11 by 14 is a really nice size. Honestly, I think that getting the biggest size that you can makes the most sense because pastel matte's not too difficult to cut. So if you wanted smaller projects, you could cut the larger ones, and like by like per square centimeter, you're just going to get more paper if you buy the larger sheets of pastel matte. So in the long run, you get more paper and you spend less. But I would also recommend shopping around for your pastel matte. You can probably find some online stores that can give you some decent deals. And you can find it, sometimes you can find a difference as much as like £10 or $10. Sorry, I buy all of my art supplies from the UK, so a lot of the times I think in pounds. You've been doing art for a year and 1 month. Cool. How do you get your mind motivated for art again? Um, well, one of the things that I always, the art block question is not something that I actually get very often, but my answer for that question is the same every time, and it's been the same for many years. The reality is, it doesn't matter what project you start. Doesn't matter what you create. Doesn't matter what you draw, paint, design, anything. You just have to do something, and that flow will come back to you naturally. The the majority of people that I teach art to, they do it for the pure enjoyment of it. They find it relaxing. They like the process of creating, the calm nature of producing art. And when they get stuck creatively and sort of feel like they don't want to do it, the easiest thing to do is to just start anything and not care what it is. Just get past that first hurdle. And so I always recommend people to draw a banana. So if you're stuck, you feel like you just, can't start anything or not feeling very creative, draw a banana. It sounds ridiculous, but trust me. I've also had those same people stuck, those same people feeling uncreative. And they ask me that question, how to get out of it. And I tell them, draw a banana. And every single one of those people that drew a banana, they were like, that's exactly what I needed to do. And then they'll send me a picture of the banana that they drew. It really is that simple. Because for those of us where we like to do art as that hobby and that just sort of peaceful connection to the artwork and sort of that meditative state, I've always felt like creating artwork is a lot like meditating, because when you start focusing on just the small little things that you're doing, everything else seems to just melt away. You're relaxed. The world is somewhat still, and time just passes without much thought. And really, that sort of meditative state can arise on any project, including drawing a banana. And the second that you get into that, once you start it, you realize that it doesn't matter what you're working on. It's just that process. It's just that state of being that you find enjoyment. And then all of a sudden, you finish the banana project and you're able to just pick whatever else, whatever you like. Yeah, Diane's got it. Draw a banana. You probably said that before I said it. You gotta always have bananas on your shopping list. Gotta always have bananas. One of the things that I used to do when I was younger and would struggle to come up with ideas, because that was one of the things that I liked to do the most. When I was in 8th grade is when I started to draw people. It was horrible. Oh gosh, they were so bad. They were just so bad. I was trying to study anatomy a little bit and get a little bit better, creating my own characters, because that's really what I wanted to do. And coming up with like fresh ideas can be exhausting sometimes, trying to think of something cool or original. And when I would get tired of, or sort of burnt out, I guess, from coming up with my own ideas, I would grab any random object that was around me. A pair of headphones, a computer mouse. I remember once I drew my sister's cell phone, a pencil sharpener. I mean, you name it, just any random object sitting on a desk or whatever, a shoe, and just draw that. Just draw whatever object is within arm's reach. Change the angle, sketch it out from a few different vantage points. Practice your perspective and develop your three-dimensional vision in your brain. A lot of people struggle with that, so it's always something good to practice. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter what it is you're creating as soon as you get into that process. Oh, does it matter what color of pastel matte? Not really. The color of pastel matte, if you intend on covering the paper 100%, the change based on the color of the paper is minimal. Just know that if you choose anything that's a non-white paper, it will darken the value of the color overall as you apply it. So all your colors will be just slightly darker than if it was on white paper, but not super drastically or anything. So not a lot to worry about there. I think, I don't know. I think I'll just grab my blender and try to smooth out the hat. There's just something about the transition from the shadows on the hat that I'm not totally fond of, so maybe just taking the blender and smoothing it out a bit more will fix it. Appreciate all the questions, by the way. I always enjoy the questions that I get during the live streams. Like having a conversation. And for all of the new names that I'm seeing in the chat, trust me, there's no question off limits, and there's no question too basic, so don't feel shy at all. If you feel like you have a basic question, I would much rather you ask a basic question than be uncertain. So if you're uncertain about anything, by all means, ask away. More than happy to clarify anything. This blender here, if you're wondering what it is, this is just a standard blending stump, often used with graphite. And one of these will come in the set of Carbothello pencils. You also get some of those like makeup sponges. I am much more fond of these paper blenders than the makeup sponges. I don't feel like there's a lot of precision with the makeup sponges, and they lift off a lot of the pigment as opposed to just blending it. Some of the pigment will be lifted off with this, but a negligible amount, so much prefer the paper blender. And you can use sandpaper to both clean and sharpen the tip of the paper blenders. That's how I do it. I use sandpaper. And so you have a much more precise blend with these as opposed to the makeup sponges. Oh, hey there, Annalise from South Africa. That is cool. Nice to nice to have fans all across the world. Got a number of countries represented today, that's for sure. There we go. I think the brim of the hat is a bit softer now. I like it. I like it looks better. I kind of want to do something with her face. I think maybe I'll bring in just a touch of red into her cheeks a bit more. Very, very subtle amount of extra pink. Do I use daylight bulbs when I'm working? No, I use LED lighting. I use uh, white LED, like a neutral. I'm trying to think of the Kelvin temperature. Um, I can adjust the Kelvin temperature, and if I'm not mistaken, it's 5700, where 5500 could be. Hopefully, I'm not mistaken here. Um, I think 5500 is neutral white, um, and I have it at 57, so just slightly warmer. I have it just a tiny bit warmer, and I have it a tiny bit warmer because I'm pretty far north in the northern hemisphere. The farther you get away from the equator, the more warmer the light you want to work under, to adjust for the blues, because as you get further away from the equator, the sun, the sunlight, the natural sunlight, tends to be cooler, and and then of course as you get closer to the equator, it tends to be warmer. So if you're like real close to the equator, then you probably want to use a slightly cooler light, so maybe around like 4700 Kelvin, something like that. But no, I'm using LED lights, and I block off my windows so that my camera isn't affected by the natural light that would come through otherwise. I don't like to work under natural light because it's constantly changing during the day and during the seasons of the year. I get a majority of my art supplies from Jackson's Art Supply. Yeah, there's not too many good art stores here in Poland, so yeah, a majority of my supplies come from Jackson's. The tape that I have here is just your normal painter's tape that you would use like when painting the interior of your house, um, from just the department store or the home improvement store. Nothing too fancy about it. I just it's cheap. It's relatively cheap, and because it's painter's tape, it's designed to be low tack or a medium tack so that it doesn't stick real heavy to things, because you don't want to peel it off your paper and then also peel off your paper. So nothing too special about my tape actually. Let's see. Hopefully, I didn't miss anybody's question. Oh, how long have I lived in Poland? I've lived in Poland for 6 years, and I moved here. Uh, Originally, I moved here to live with my girlfriend, um, who then shortly became my wife. And so I live here because of my wife. Celebrated 4 years of marriage this past February. Actually, just about ready to call this project done, and that means it's time to untape it. Everybody's favorite part, when I take off the tape and we get to see the project in its final form for the first time. Because you'd be surprised how drastic the project changes once you remove the tape. It just transforms into a real piece of artwork for the first time. Something about the taped edges just makes it look really incomplete, sort of. Just making really small micro changes to the colors and values and whatnot. Does my wife love to paint and draw also? I wouldn't say that she loves to do it, but she can actually do it quite well. We've actually we've done a few live streams together in the past. It's been a long time since we've live streamed together, but we have done a few projects that we live streamed. Like our first time doing pastels. I think we've done two pastel projects actually, and she's done a couple colored pencil projects also. But she doesn't. She works. I do this for a living. What you see me doing right now, live streaming, is what I do for a living. I do it every day, pretty much, except for the weekends. And my wife generally goes to work. She's on vacation right now, so she's not she's not too happy that I'm streaming on a Friday, which I don't normally do. Usually I only stream Monday through Thursday, but um, so she doesn't draw as much as I do. Very few people that would draw for a hobby and do it nearly as much as I do. How do I finally decide it's done? Um, it's subjective, really. I mean, I've called projects done. I've called projects done when later on I realize that I forgot something. So my precision in knowing when to call it's done isn't even accurate. And for the most part, I'd say it's just complete guesswork, or I just feel done. It's about the only time I feel anything with in regards to my artwork, because I don't work based on feeling. I don't create based on feeling. I sort of have a plan from the beginning. I always plan what I intend on doing. But when it comes to finishing the polishing stage, like what I'm doing right now, it's more or less just I feel like I can call it done. Not really a a sure thing, but maybe just years of doing it that sort of gives me this confidence of or this feeling of confidence of knowing that it's done. Another time, another instance where I might call it done is where I feel like the micro changes that I'm doing aren't changing enough to make it worth doing, and I'll just call it done. For instance, everything that I've done up to this point, I can visually see it changing, but there's certain things that I may, if I continue, those small changes might just stop being so obvious to me. And once they stop being obvious, I just don't see any point. One thing I definitely want to do is make these frilly things here more visible. I think originally I did them in gray, and they just don't show up enough. I'm going to go over them with white. There, I think them showing up is a bit better. Oh, hey there, meet Sharma. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate that. If you really want to learn more for all the new viewers popping in, so this project here, the entire thing has been live streamed from the very beginning to this point right here. And that is over in my art club on my website. I do pastel tutorials every Monday and Tuesday live, and colored pencil tutorials Wednesday and Thursday. And I have pretty vast library of tutorials that you can go through. Yeah, if you sign up for the art club, I have a link for it in the description if you want. You can see all of the tutorials before signing up, so you can see all the pastel and colored pencil tutorials to see which projects that have been completed. We're going to be doing a new project very soon, actually, and let me show you the next project that will be taking place. We'll be starting this pastel project next Monday. So this here is a scene from the movie Howl's Moving Castle, one of my all-time favorite animated movies. And this was a suggestion from one of the art club members. And all of the projects that I do, we discuss before I choose what it is that we're going to do. So nearly every project that you see was either a direct suggestion or at the very least a conversation about what we wanted to do next. So I almost never exclusively choose the project. So as an art club member, if there's something that you want to do, something that you want to learn, you speak to me directly, and you tell me, and then we do those projects. That's how the projects are chosen. And like I said, all of them are live streamed, so all of the instruction is in real time. And of course, you can ask me questions infinitely, essentially. A lot of the art club members are in chat, so they can give you their input as well. How the art club is. I don't really do a lot of advertising. Generally, it just gets around word of mouth, because the people that are in it now speak so highly of it that I don't need to do it myself. So yeah, that's going to be the next pastel project that we start on Monday. And this project here, I am going to call it done. Would a little aqua from the dress shadows look okay reflected in the hat? I think so. Adding some of the aqua into the hat, totally fine. You could even add some of the aqua into the skin, though you'd have to be very careful adding green or blue into skin. But it is something that you can do a touch of. As long as it's the same color, you just have overall color harmony. So free to do that. I'm going to zoom out a tad and untape this project, and we are going to call it done. Hello, Pallavi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. From India. Now we're going to get a nice clean border, and this is going to look very good. Yeah, absolutely. How many of you in the art club are beginners? Like, Nearly everyone in the art club is beginner. This project, whether you believe it or not, this project is a 100% beginner project. When I teach, when I explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, I always explain it to the perspective in which a beginner can comprehend and replicate. In comparison to the previous project, this one was super easy. The previous Pastel project was a very complex still life. In fact, if you go back to the live stream, I did the polishing stage for that project just a few weeks ago, or I don't know, maybe a month ago it was. Can't remember exactly which day it was, but you'll see it, trust me. It was a still life project, Pastel project. And that was several of the art club members. It was the very first Pastel project they'd ever done. Came out beautifully. But yeah, there we go. So that is the finished project right there. And like I said, we'll be starting this project here next Monday. And that is going to do it for today's live stream. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. It's always nice to hang out, meet some new people in chat. I always appreciate you coming by and hanging out, asking your questions. And like I said, if you want to sign up for the art club, you are more than welcome to click that link in the description. And I look forward to seeing you in the live lessons. Be sure that when you sign up, you also join the Discord server, because the Discord server, you can message me like 24/7, ask your questions and all of that stuff. So there's really no limit on how much you can learn from me. Anyways, you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and look forward to seeing you on Monday. Take care. Peace.